Alright, we're here tonight with graffiti writer, author, painter, FUZZ ONE. Tonight we're here to talk about the legendary MG Boys. FUZZ ONE, can you tell us a little bit about the MG Boys and how they got started?
Back in the days, one day I was on one of my little secret missions. I lived on Knox Place, and I was going down to the 4 yards when Tracy Towers was first being built. The whole joint was under construction. They had the black security guard there, Curtis and everything. I slipped through the fence. He told me it was okay. And then I seen this tag team of dudes in there. I was doing little pieces, they were piecing. And the first dude that I met that initiated the whole scene was Hyson. He was a big, tall dude. He had the brown leather jacket on, combat boots, the whole shit. And he had his brother with him, a little smaller dude, East. He was the man. So we spent the whole night in the 4 yard, bombing together and everything. And after that, when we finished bombing the whole 4 yard, we went out through the back of the yard where that round platform was that went down with the pathway. And then the sign said Tracy Towers. It used to be a gas station jammy across the street. So then from there, they wanted to see me again. We wanted to hang out. And he told me about this other dude that I should meet, his buddy. And that was Mark 98. So they were yeah, come around PS 80. I already had went to junior high school there. So I knew where 80 was. So I figured, yeah, let me shoot down to 80 tomorrow. And Hyson came along. They were there, 12 in the afternoon, the lunch break jamming. And Mark 98 was there. So then Hyson introduced me to Mark 98, and East was there. So that was kind of the four of us and stuff. And we started hanging out a little bit. And then Mark got hooked up with Kid 17. Then Kid 17 came into the loop. Then we had another friend come into the package. That was Tony. Old man Tony used to smoke the cigars. He looked like Charlie Chaplin. He had the mustache going. He was the man, bro. Tony 13. And then another dude to come into the group was Flip 13. So that was our whole squad. We started taking over down by Bainbridge Avenue when McDonald's first opened up. That was our headquarters where we used to talk about all our missions, where we used to go rack up and shit to get paid. We'd have our egg McMuffins, with the hash browns, little hot chocolates, coffees, whatever. Bowls of turkey soup we used to get from the restaurant down the block. And then from there, we used to take buses out to New Rochelle, Getty Square, Riverdale, Yonkers. We used to go to White Plains. We went all over the place, man. We racked up throughout the whole New York City. We even went out to Strong Island. We went out to Staten Island on the ferry, racked up in all those TSS stores, Genevieve's, Pathmark when they had paint, all the Woolworths, all the 5 and 10s. Lamston's was big. We hit Alexander's, Corvettes, crazy 8-track tapes. We had the record albums, Jethro Tull, Robin Trower, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, David Bowie, Black Sabbath. We used to just rack up shit, man. We had power supplies. That crew, you couldn't mess with us, man. We took the 20 White Plains bus upstate to Yonkers and shit. We killed it. We used to go to Gimbals, cross county, hit both Martin Paints hard with garbage bags. We blew up all the paint stores out there.
Alright, cool. Alright, can you tell us about the famous rail across from Marty's Donut Shop and who hung out there?
Well, since the rail was right down the block from the 4 yard, it was a good spot for the writers, to line up on the poles and sit. And the 4 train, went right by there. But in all reality, all walks of life hung out at the rail. Marty's Donut Shop was right across the street. DeWitt Clinton was right down the block. The D yard was just one step away. And Tracy Towers was just right down the road, the 4 yard. So we had the whole spot hooked up. Everybody and their grandmother came to the rail to see us. I mean, the MG Boys was on fire. We were the only crew that was writing from Bainbridge Avenue to Mashua Parkway, bombing the 4 yard, like D with Clinton, we used to hide like in the weeds and shit at night, wait for the cops to leave and stuff. We had that whole neighborhood on smash. People used to come from Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Yonkers, anywhere you could think of, man, because the rail is what's happening. That's where graffiti really originated, Bronx graffiti. If you weren't a writer at Marty's Donut Shop and you didn't go to the 4 yard, that means you weren't there. From like 1970 to 1976, the MG boys was on smash in that neighborhood. We had the whole rail locked down, the whole spot, the whole neighborhood.
All right. How are the cops on you guys?
Well, the 5-0s knew that, like, the baddest writers were like the white dudes. We had like mad pain. You picture the way blonde boy going into the store. I'm just loading up shopping carts and shit. The cops knew that we had like giant paint. We were coming out with like whole cars like every week with like other guys from other crews. So for the MG boys, we hung out primarily in the benches, in the park, on the rail, underneath the tunnel. We went to Van Cortlandt Park. All our adventures were always all over like New York, but when we came back, it was always like at the rail. I lived on Knox Place, I lived in Mashua Parkway, I lived in Villa Avenue. So that was like my triangle. I was getting the D yard over here, the 4 yard. But with me, Mark and Kid, and Flip 13 and Hyson, and Tony 13 and East, the cops like knew us because we were always traveling around. Like every time you saw us, for like little kids, we always had like a shopping bag or like a Puma bag or whatever the like latest, satchel was or whatever. We used to get like paper bags, put them into like the real paper bags, the one with the handles. Then we line the cans up like separately, like 4 cans, like 24 cans. That was like our satchel. So with the cops, man, they would hide on the roofs. They'd be chilling like in the sandboxes. They'd hide underneath the trains. They'd hide in the conductor booths. They'd go to my roof with like binoculars. Hickey and Ski had us on smash. Roten and Wasserman, Jack and O'Leary, Artie Schwartz, Lumberjack and Farino. They were the baddest graffiti tag team ever. Just so many, man. Every cop that wanted to make like his name in the graffiti game, as far as transit police, they went to the 4 yard. You had to look out for the old green cop cars. That was the New York City police. Then you had like the transit police. But then you had like the DTs. All the DTs that were coming back from like Vietnam. They just went straight to the Vandal unit. They'd ride the train from Mashua Parkway to 149th Street back and forth all day. Just look for the kids, tagging up, looking outside the tunnel, see if we were creeping the roll. But, we expanded. We went to like other spots. But the 4 yard was like really, that was our house. And the D yard, of course, coming from the 198th Street mark. We tore that place apart with various amount of graph cats, Kiss 17. There was a lot of other, writers that were, combined with the MG boys. But we were like the real original ones, from like the Glory days, the McDonald's days, that was like our glitch, the spinning little tables. We used to shoot like spitballs at each other, put matches in each other's shoes. We always did like devilish foul acts to each other, snapping all day. But we were like, a group of kids, like fun-loving kids, carefree kids out there, We wasn't hurting nobody. We used to look out for the people in the neighborhood, carry old ladies' groceries up the steps, watch out for them when they got off the subway. Nobody bothered, our mothers or our dads, because, there was always someone, to look out. We gave back to the neighborhood, especially Marco 98 and Kiss 17. They kept all the, the dealers out the neighborhood, and that was good. They stayed there for many years, the MG boys holding it down. At the wall up on Gun Hill Road, at the 4 yard, they had the benches on smash, even at the rail. Mark had his little team of dudes that used to hold it down. They dropped like paint buckets on cats' heads, like drug dealers. It was bad. It was torture the whole neighborhood.
All right. Besides the 4 and the D, what were your other favorite yards?
Well, for me, since I was like an adventurous cat, a lot of dudes, didn't feel like it was necessary, to go to like a lot of spots because, You know, in the 4 yard, they had the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6. They had 7s in there. But I was more of a, you know, like an adventurous dude. You know, I would just take a train. You know, I'd get a map and I posted it like on my roof. And each day I would go out and put pins in the map. I take the D train out to Coney Island. I hit 850. You know, I take the double L's out to like, you know, Livonia, Soundview, Kingston. You know, the 2 uptown to like New Lots. I'd go out to Utica. I'd take the E's and F's out towards Queens, to like Van Wyck, Union Turnpike, 75th, 169th Street. I'd take the 1 down to 138th Street, 145, uptown all the way to like the 1 yard. I mean, I was a traveling cat. I bombed all city, every train, every line. I raced as the Wiz with CK7 on the train to the plane. And he said for every piece that I did, he had to do 5 of them. So I was damaging with like DJs and CKs. I had like 100 names.
All right.